Come on, we gotta move this way. Kanan's gonna be looking for us. Said he's gonna introduce us to Breeze.
Hi. The hustling, all the work, from working the corner for Breeze and Kanan, it brought us here.
It set me the fuck up.
That doesn't mean that Uncle G did it.
Showing I was running shit then me, Kanan. Ghost and Tommy kept coming around talking about some shit I wasn't down with. So he got rid of me by sending me to prison.
Crazy, right? How close we once were.
Yeah, and then you used everything I taught you against me.
Welcome back, Top Notch Gang, to another video, and this one is gonna be a banger. So a little over 2 months ago, at the beginning of 2024, I dropped a video talking about the whole backstory between Kanan and Jukebox. I talked about all the information we learned in OG Power that we got about their childhood, and then I talked about everything we learned in the first 3 seasons of Raising Kanan, and I filled everything in the middle. Now I got some things right, got some things wrong, of course, but it's looking pretty good. And I also in that video went over when Ghost and Tommy would be introduced into Raising Kanan, as they was a vital part, and of course Jukebox knew them. So now, just under 3 months later, we got the announcement of Power Origins, a new Power book spinoff focused on young Ghost and young Tommy, as well as the announcement of Raising Kanan season 5, and season 4 is currently shooting right now. It didn't even come out yet, and season 5 is when I predicted Ghost and Tommy to be introduced, but now I think they're perfectly setting and wrapping up Raising Kanan to lead into Power Origins. And now with that information, we're gonna do the same thing for Kanan, Ghost, and Tommy, where we take everything from OG Power, connect it back to Power Origins of all the things we're gonna see take place with all the information we got from OG Power. Because I think at the end of Raising Kanan, the actors that play Kanan and Jukebox is gonna join Power Book Origins, and that's how we're gonna see all these steps and things take place. I apologize if I left anything out. It took a lot of time to get all these videos, clips, and everything like that. So I appreciate if you leave a like, comment, subscribe as we dive into all the clues, details, and hints of what Power Book Origins is gonna be like. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. We have to start with the ending of Raising Kanan. Now, in this section is going to be all about the downfall, the deaths, and the demise of the Thomas family, and more specifically how Rock dies and Kanan takes over everything. Now listen, before you run to the comments and say what they said about Rock and OG Power, take a second. I'm gonna explain everything, have all the clips ready, so let's dive into it. I made a video telling you guys the Thomas family is in danger, and I believe that Rock, Lou, and Marvin were all gonna die eventually. It just made sense. People forget that this is a prequel. Of course, a lot of these characters weren't really mentioned or talked about in OG Power except for a few scenes, mainly Marvin and Rock. For Rock specifically, people are saying that in OG Power, Kanan told Ghost, Tommy, and them that he went to visit his mom, so that proves that she is alive.
But listen, I gotta get going, make a few stops and shit. I just went to go see my mom, came straight here. All right, man.
I easily said that this doesn't mean she was alive. He could have went to visit her grave, or even Kanan could have just been lying. We got to remember, this was at the time he was attempting to kill Ghost, take his business, and he didn't want him to know he got out of the jail on the day they attempted to take Ghost's life.
I want Ghost dead before I get out. You got some more pretending to do. Ghost can't know I've been out, can't know nothing you know about me, all right?
Yeah, I know.
Because Ghost would have put 2 and 2 together. So he could have easily been lying. And also we know when Kanan eventually dies in OG Power, they talked about him killing Sean and how he has no next to kin living on paper. They can't find anyone basically.
Is Kanan Stark. He has no known surviving next of kin. His son Sean was murdered.
So we don't really know if Rock is alive, it's up in the air, but here is further reasons I think she dies so Kanan takes control in Power Origins. We've been told multiple times in OG Power that Kanan was the one running shit before Ghost turned him in.
It set me the fuck up.
That doesn't mean that Uncle G did it.
Showing I was running shit then me, Kanan. Ghost and Tommy kept coming around talking about some shit I wasn't down with. So he got rid of me by sending me to prison.
I played the clip at the beginning of the video, but there's a ton more where he's telling Tariq this.
Back in the days, me, Tommy, and your pops used to run this block. We was around your age.
Where he's telling the RSKs that he built this shit and he gave it to Tommy and Ghost, so the shit that they doing right now is just a loan.
We made this run. I gave this territory to Ghost and to Tommy, and they gave it to you. The shit is a loan.
So he basically saying he was in control, he was running shit. Now why this is important to Rock dying is because we just saw in season 3 Rock leave the game and then join back. She gave a whole speech about how she was built for this shit, this is what she was made for, and that she's never leaving again.
Some people born to be doctors, lawyers, ball players. I'm here to move weight. It's what I do, it's who I am.
And after that speech and she goes back to Stefano and tells him this, he let her out the game once, and this time he tells her there's only one way out this time.
Let's give it the old college try. But just so we're clear, there's only one way out.
And I believe this is gonna catch up to her. Now, as I said in the intro as well, season 4 for Raising Kanan hasn't even come out yet, and they already renewed it for season 5. So I think the downfall of the Thomas family is happening, and it got renewed for season 5 so that they could close it out going into Power Origins. And it makes the most sense to do it in this way. Kanan is back with Rock, they're back good, and he's gonna learn as much as possible from her, and he's eventually gonna take over. But I think it's clear as day the Thomas family has a lot more problems coming their way, and a lot more development to happen when you just look at Marvin and Jukebox. Up to this point, 3 seasons in, we have not really seen Jukebox get into the game, to the street life, or even get her first kill a body yet. And I think that's because Marvin is still around. Jukebox has been through a lot of trauma and things already, losing her girlfriend, the big ass fight between her and Marvin, of course losing her mom, and even losing Burke. So she's been through a lot, and I think Marvin will be the last and final straw that pushes her fully into the game. Because we have to remember, Ghost and Tommy knew who Jukebox was, like I said in the intro.
You got my boy, Kay. One of the baddest motherfuckers we both know. She run these streets harder than some of these men. Jukebox.
We have multiple lines from OG Power. Kanan slipped up and told her girlfriend who fucked him up, who beat him in a fight, when she was like, Ghost, not Ghost.
You fucked up. Her Ghost. And Ghost.
Not Ghost. Ghost. He let that book smart motherfucker beat him?
And we also saw her conversation with Kanan when she was like, you let that book smart nigga beat you. He always had his head in the book, but vicious with a piece though.
Man, Ghost, he was your boy, that kid. Always with his head in the motherfucking book. Vicious with a piece though.
And also, Tommy and Ghost had a conversation with one another. Tommy was like, she crazy as fuck.
And remember Jukebox? Yeah, that fucking crazy bitch. That one.
So we know she got to get into the game, into the street life before they even get introduced to one another. And she has yet to get her hands dirty, not even with the drug game, get her first body or anything like that. And the last clue that people use, and that I especially pointed out multiple times in other videos, is from OG Power when Kanan was like Jukebox owed him one because he was there for her when her father kicked her out for being the way she was.
I was there for her when her daddy kicked her out for the way she is.
When this clip took place, he actually took a pause before finishing, and I think this goes to show that something tragic happened to Marvin, because where we currently are in Raising Kanan, we already know Jukebox and Marvin made up. He's on her side, he's looking out for her. He told the manager of the girl group, Jukebox not changing for nobody.
Listen, my daughter gonna be exactly who she is, though. I mean, Juke gonna be Juke. I don't care what your people say.
He's just had her back ever since that moment. So I'm thinking something tragic happened that took place down the line, because we already know he learned to accept her for the way she was. So it's still a long ways away, and I think we'll continue to see the downfall of the Thomas family for seasons 4 and 5. And then, like I said, the characters that play Kanan and Jukebox will transfer over to Power Book Origins, and that way Ghost and Tommy could be aged up to around high school, and the story could potentially start from there. So now that we know that, of course, Kanan and Jukebox should come to play a vital role in Book Origins, the next logical step is, of course, Breeze. And you can't make a Power video nowadays without having to talk about Breeze. Now for this section, we're gonna strictly be focusing on all the information we actually know for a fact about Breeze, all the statements made. I'm gonna be playing clips of everything that was said about him in the original Power. Now I know a lot of people are gonna be asking who is Breeze, and we'll talk about that at the end after we get out all the information. Now first off, you've seen the clip I played at the beginning of the video. The first thing we learned about Breeze in the very first episode told is that Ghost and Tommy, of course, came up working under him.
The hustling, all the work, from working the corner for Breeze and Kanan.
So that's the first information we got about him, and then it just grew and grew and built from there to the point where Breeze became the biggest question mark in Power Universe history. We then go on to learn that Breeze is actually one that gave Ghost his nickname. Say he had the ability to appear and disappear and no one could see him coming.
We knew this guy Breeze when we were kids. He came up with Ghost. Said the kid had the ability to disappear.
We learned that that was how he got the moniker Ghost. That's how he got that alias. And then, of course, the biggest information we, of course, know about Breeze as well is that Ghost and Tommy took him out.
You raised Roller. You wrote the blueprint for his moves, man. Why wouldn't he want to take out the boss? It's the same shit you did to Breeze.
Now, I know a lot of people mainly focus on that it was Ghost who did it because I just played a clip of Kanan saying it, that it's the same shit Ghost did with Breeze. But even Tommy in another clip said they both stood there and put a bullet in his head, and he both did it to obtain the top spot.
Why would Roller do it?
Same reason two former corner boys looked Breeze in the face and shot him in the fucking head. When you want that top spot, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it.
So Breeze has been this big mystery because he's supposed to be one of Ghost's first kills, and you obviously know this really impacted him. This character is brought up a lot, and we've seen how emotional he was when Tariq asked him about Breeze to tell him the truth, tell him the story, and he was talking about how he gave Breeze one more chance and it just didn't work out.
I loved Breeze. He got in my way, son, okay? So I had to get rid of him. I gave Breeze one more chance. I asked him to change his mind. He didn't.
Now that's pretty much all the major details we know about Breeze. We know a few other bits or pieces of the information. He stuck to the same schedule. That's how they call him slipping. He used to like watching Jeopardy and shit like that. But who do I think Breeze is? Now, I'm not gonna lie. I was one of the first people to say it was gonna be Unique. I told you guys Unique was alive. I made a whole video talking about it and people thought I was crazy. And Unique did end up coming back. That doesn't mean he's Breeze. But that's when I thought Ghost and Tommy was gonna get introduced eventually in Raising Kanan. Now that they're getting their own show and spin-off, I don't know what's gonna happen with most of the cast of Raising Kanan. It could be a whole new actor playing Breeze in the new Power Origins. So you guys could debate in the comments, who do you think Breeze is? At this point, I'm convinced it would just be a whole new entire character once Power Origins actually starts. Maybe we get him at the end, very end of Raising Kanan, but at the current point, I'm not sure about Unique. But that is all the information we have on Breeze from OG Power. Now let's move on. Let's focus on young Ghost and young Tommy and the relationships they developed with Kanan based off of quotes we got and understood from them in the original Power. And we'll start with Tommy first, because when I went back to watch, I never realized how much respect Tommy really had for Kanan. Now, of course, as we all know, Tommy didn't know about Ghost's whole plan to set Kanan up to go to jail. In season 1, he showed so much respect for what Kanan had done for them, even telling Sean they owe him big and they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Kanan.
Then Kanan kept us in line, taught us the business, made us men. Ghost and I owe your father big.
And also even going as far as to say in another scene that there's not a good idea Ghost came up with that he didn't steal from Kanan.
We learned that from you and your car wash.
You remember that?
Ghost ain't never had a good idea he didn't steal from you.
Giving him the ultimate praise, because we all know how smart of a nigga Ghost is, how he thinks 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. And we got to remember, as I played the clip at the beginning of this whole video, Kanan said he was the one running shit, he was in charge. So Tommy, he definitely looked up to Kanan, which makes the most sense, because even in the clip we see them when they were younger, he's the one who's pushing the issue, saying we need to go see Kanan. He's going to introduce us to Breeze. We see Ghost over here talking to Angela, focused on Angela. Tommy didn't give a fuck about none of that. He trying to get to the work, get to the business. He connected to Kanan's love for the game in general compared to the personal connection that Ghost and Kanan had that we're going to talk about next. I mean, just look at these two quotes that we got, one from Tommy in season 2 of OG Power and one we just seen from Kanan in season 3 of Raising Kanan.
They gonna bury me right here on the south side. I ain't never leaving. I'm all right with that.
What about what I want?
We got a legitimate fucking business.
That's your business. This is my business. It's the only thing I was ever good at.
I got more to offer. You motherfucker.
This goes to show that this is all he ever wanted to do. They never had any other goals, dreams, or aspirations. Their love for the game was just what it was. They never wanted to get outside of that. And we saw even Ghost in that clip. Like I said, we're about to get into him next, but he was like, I got more to offer. And that's where the disconnect between him, Kanan, and Tommy always came in. Also, it's interesting to point out from Tommy, his backstory, what we know about him is he was the only white kid for like 20 blocks, some shit he said like that. So he had it rough, so he had to fight every single day.
Bam! Put him on his ass.
So no one ever messed with you after that?
I was the only white kid for 20 blocks. I got my ass kicked every day.
Until Ghost came around, Ghost had his back, and once they entered the game, they was brothers forever. So as far as Tommy and his backstory, what we can expect to see, Tommy moving into the neighborhood, once again, the struggle of that, being the only white kid, getting bullied, battling with being with a single mom who's addicted to drugs. He's of course gonna meet Ghost, they're gonna become close, and then as the storyline continues, he meets Kanan, Breeze, and we see him embrace this new life, this new opportunity, see how he get molded into this rootless nigga we got in OG Power and that we now see in Book Force. So his storyline is still very interesting to me because unlike Ghost, Tommy of course embraced all of this, and this is exactly what he wanted. And that just leaves James St. Patrick, motherfucking Ghost. And I think his bond with Kanan is gonna be the main focal point of Book Origins. And I think it makes the most sense if we're gonna be looking back on it, how we're looking back on Jukebox and Kanan right now in Raising Kanan. People were like, damn, with the bond and relationship they had, how could it end it the way it did? How we saw Kanan ruthlessly kill her in OG Power. That's how the bond is gonna be set up between Kanan and Ghost in Origin. We have a lot of clips and scenes of Ghost talking about why he set up Kanan, how Kanan wasn't going along with his plan, but he talked about how he loved Kanan, and we know he took out Breeze to take out the top spot, but he couldn't do the same with Kanan. So instead of killing him, he sent them away, sent them to prison, and we saw him explain this to Sean.
My dad told me that you sent him to jail. Back then, I had big plans. Big plans that Kanan couldn't see. It was either set him up for him to go away, or it was me killing him. I wasn't gonna kill him.
And also even explain it to Kanan.
Kay had a plan, man. You ain't want to follow the plan. So I was either gonna kill you or put you on the inside. Loved you like a brother. Wasn't gonna kill you.
Now, even with all this being said, the thing that's the most interesting to me is that Ghost's dad was supposedly alive while he was in the game, and Kanan and Breeze might have a hand in Ghost's dad dying, so that's what made Ghost stay in the game. Because we saw in a conversation between Ghost and Tariq, Ghost telling Tariq that his dad tried to keep him out this life and he just wouldn't listen, and now he's trying to do the same for Tariq.
When I was your age, I thought it was the right thing to do. My father tried to get me to turn my back on the streets. I didn't listen. I'm trying to protect you from a life of misery, son.
So if all this comes to be true, that means Kanan might have a hand in Ghost staying in the game and not ever getting out.
When my pops died, your dad was there for me, man.
Which is something he always wanted to do. As we seen in a clip of him talking to Angela about Cho in the flashback, she said, you ever think about getting out? And he said, all the time.
What, you never think about getting out of Queens?
All the time. Which, as I pointed out in the Tommy section, is something Tommy and Kanan never thought of. We just saw Kanan in the Raising Kanan season 3 say that he wants to stay on the south side. He never wants to leave. He wants to get buried there. And I think this all comes full circle in season 6, episode 10 of Power, where we see Ghost hallucinate Kanan. He finally is getting everything he wanted. He's out the game. He's running for office. So he hallucinates Kanan, and Kanan's telling him, you deserve a needle, motherfucker. You a bad guy just like me. And Ghost says, if I was born or lived anywhere else, I would be in business school somewhere if I just wasn't raised by you.
Nigga, you made me this way, Kay. Come on, man. This is where I was all along. If I'm born somewhere else, if I ain't raised by you, come on, man. I'm in business school somewhere.
Ghost is saying like he had to take the long way to get where he is now, but this was always destined for him. This is what his goal and plan always was. And just cause Kanan intervened in his life, he had to unfortunately go down the dark path to get to the light. And I think, like I said, this focal point playing on their relationship is going to be the most exciting part of Power Origins. Overall, that's it for this video. A long one, but I hope I fully broke down everything from the Power timeline, all the shows, Raising Kanan, Power, and hopefully Power Origins will get in the next year or two. You guys can leave any questions you have down below or any thoughts and opinions on any of these characters, how you see their storyline playing out in Power Origins, your thoughts and opinions on anything. I do think Raising Kanan has to end before Power Origins officially begins. Like I said very early on in the video, Kanan and Jukebox are vital roles or played at least a piece in Ghost and Tommy's younger life, so they have to make some type of appearance in there. So I think that's why we got Raising Kanan season 5 already announced, so when they wrap that up, lead right into Power Origins. I think this season is going to revitalize a lot of Power fans, because some fans stopped watching after Ghost got killed off. Like, it's crazy. So they don't watch none of Tariq shit, they don't watch Tommy shit with Force, and they didn't watch Raising Kanan because Tommy and Ghost wasn't in it. So now they might get into Raising Kanan to catch up to Origins, and so on and so forth. You guys though can leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and opinions once again, and any other videos you would like to see on the channel, any other full-length breakdowns like this one. But I'm out.